على آله وصحبه وسلم آدي أد بانو فرحسنا ما أنتين هالكن دي لتشوفه مدحضة جامعة دبارمنا كل دوين مرتضى كلا هالكن لكشر كانوا تيمي يوم most particularly أرضية جامعين تا دقالها برانيس أد بانو فرحسنا إنه بدي تشوفه لكشر كي يقول ري level كانوا كلا ayuu kan yahay baan u malaynaya marka jaamacada aan tago inta badan waa graduation iyo wax la mid ah marka ardayda yaad tirtirsiinaysaa ardayda wuxuu sheegaysaa general laakiin kani waxa weeye arday dhaqaalaha baranaysa graduate garoobaysa ayaa la doonaya dhaqaalaha in lagala hadlo marka it is going to be a bit more complicated than the normal lecture that I normally give. Marka, you please excuse that. Now, waxyaalo badan baa madaxayga ku jira. Maanta laakiin wuxuu ku kooban yahay waa dhaqaalaha. Dhaqaaluhu waa ballaaran yahay. Dhaqaaluhu waad barateeno waa social science. Maxaa social science loo yidhi dhaqaaluhu inuu yahay social science? Not mathematical science, not natural science, social science, because madaxa dadka iyo dhaqaalaha isku jira waxa isku jira barashada dadku say u fikirayaan ba dhaqaalaha kamid ah. That's why it is a social science. Qofku sidoo fikiraya. Let me give you an example. Qof jaamacad ka baxay oo dhaqaala bartay oo meel jooga X country iyo qof dhaqaala bartay jooga another white country haddii assignment loo wada dhiibo there will definitely be different outcomes using the same formulas hadda waa laba wadan oo kala gooniya bal laakiin labaduba macroeconomics bay barteen ama public economy bay barteen maxaa difference ku yahay social input ka weeyaan social input to the formula. That's why, therefore, this is called social science. It is part of the economy, is the behavior of the people. Makes the difference, behavior of the people. Marka dhaqaale waxa weeye inaad waxaad needkaaga waxaad adigu u baahan tahay la soo bixi karto way dhaqaale waxaad adigu u baahan tahay oo aad garato oo aanad exaggerate garayn demandkaagu wuxuu yahay ood garato waanad exaggerate garayn dabeetana adigu qaarad ka midihii ay socdaan oo dabeetana soo saaraan wixii lagu dabooli lahaa demandkaas. That's economics. waxaad ogtihiin dhaqaaluhu qaybo fara badan buu kala leeyahay. dhaqaalihii taariikhduu leeyahay economic thought of history of economic thought, public economics buu leeyahay. anigu kaan ugu jecelaya public economics waa ka finance iyo public finance iyo cashuurayo waxa ku shaqale development economics buu leeyahay health economics education economics buu leeyahay education economics buu leeyahay which assesses the value of education and development. Why are we going to school? Because at the end it will increase production. qof wax bartay uu ka production badan yahay qof aan wax baran marka dhaqaaluhu waa anigu waxaan isleeyahay waxa weeye it's the basis for development. Dhaqaaluhu it teaches you rational thinking other than objective thinking. Subjectivity buu ku baraya. Factors and values in isku geyso evaluation samaysa buu ku baraya. All factors and facts in isku keeto ku baraya. Wax walba inaad question garayso buu ku baraya oo tirada why is this so? Now let me give you one question about us Somalis. Why are we always late on meetings? It's a research for you. Why are we never on time in meetings? It's a specific character for the Somali. I don't care where he is, unless that individual is reporting to a non-Somali. Then he is different. Somali is different. Did you understand what I'm saying? If the Somali is going to a meeting where the chair is non-Somali, he will behave. or she will behave, will come on time just like everybody else. If this is my hypothesis, go and test it. Go and test it. But if the meeting is being chaired by a colleague, another Somali, another there, they will never be on time. That is a very good piece of research if you want to do it. Yeah. Now another question is this. Why are we so poor when we are rich? Why? We know that we are a rich country. We know we have plenty of resources. You name it, we have it. But we are categorized as one of the poorest countries in the world. Why is that? Why is that? Now go to town. Why is our infrastructure the way it is? And why do we feel bad when we go to other countries and see how they live? Why? That's what economics asks you. Why our roads are like that? Why our electricity, the basic element of life, is the most expensive rate in the world? Those of you who have the luxury to drive cars, why are we all driving second hand, third hand, fourth hand? Why not new cars? Why not manufacture here and say Hargeysa one? Why not? We have the same mind as everybody else. This is what economists teach you. Why is it so? Why is it so? Now, let me not divert from my subject, which is financial revenue mobilization and public resource allocation. This is the heart of economics, but it is also heart of finance. You know the link between finance, economics, accounting, marketing, all those things. They are all in that spectrum, starting from economics. Economics is the thinking part, application of economic thought, the accounting and the finance and all that. Actually, financial resources are both economics and finance. And you know, if you want to do a PhD in finance, and if you do a PhD in economics, there is a place that you meet. It's called financial economics. You meet, and it's the same, similar things. One is practical allocation of resources, guiding, journalizing, bookkeeping, and all that. And the other one is the thinking. Why is it so? Why is this so? Now, it's both cases. Now, let me tell you, financial resources. You said public financial resources. What is public? Why are we calling it public? Why are we calling public resources? Because it is something that we all own together. Anything that we commonly own is called public. Roads are public, armed forces are public, our security is public. It is something that we commonly own, and we are forced to manage publicly. That's why we have government. I hope next time I will talk about government and governance alone, and why government is government. Why do we need government? But now let's talk about the resources. Public resources are resources that are common to everybody. It is financing the left side of the budget. The left side of the budget is the estimation of the cost of running a nation. The cost of running a nation is the budget, the left side of it. The right side of it is financing it, funding it. You have X that requires X amount of money, and you have Y axis, which is the fund to finance X. So what is the X axis of the budget? It is, like I said, the cost of running the government. What is that? We have roads to build. We have water resources to be made available to the public. We have education to make available to the public. We have health to be made available to the public. And those things have to be funded. Who is going to fund it? The public. How do they going to fund it? A big theory, the theory of taxation. Public economics, theory of taxation. Now, if everything or anything that can be owned individually can also be funded individually, and that's a private business. But there are certain things that we all benefit from, and whose benefit does not reduce because of the use of one person. Roads and the air, oxygen. I have access to it, you all have access to it. Polluting it will hurt everybody, and therefore it has to be managed publicly. The roads are for everybody. Somebody taking a vehicle, somebody using his own vehicle. It is good for communication of the whole nation, so it's publicly owned, cannot be owned by an individual, and therefore it's publicly funded. Education is something else, something that is also public. It is public because if we leave everybody to have their own education, first, it is not going to be systematic. It's molding people to one way education, part of it, molding, and the other one is skilling them. We are skilling them, but we are skilling them in a way that we want. We are a Muslim country. We have our religion to be part of the education. We are also a nation, so every nation needs educated people. We need engineers, we need doctors, we need this and that. So education also is in the public sector. Health is publicly owned because not everybody is available. It's costly. It's costly, as much as the fact that everybody requires health, needs health. And therefore, these are some of the things that are public and therefore publicly costed and publicly financed. There are also other issues. Security, another very important element. Security, everybody needs security. Yeah, I think this is the most important element for a country is security. If you are not secure, you don't know, you will turn to something else. People are different from other living animals, part of the animals, because we can arrange our security in a manner that we will all become under one umbrella. Otherwise, those of you who have taken the knowledge of anthropology, if there is no security and if there is no system of checks and balances, the stronger will survive. The weaker will die. We think we are moral people. We are not. Humanity is not moral. It's just they are afraid of the law. That's it. If the law is removed, you cannot imagine what can happen. I have seen it with my own eyes in some of the countries that we lived when there is a chaos. And here we have seen it as well. Anybody who has a gun is the king. And he can do anything. He can do anything. So security is the number one element, public item that needed to be funded. So we are secure. We are secure in our houses, in our jobs, in our streets. So when you come out, you know there is no problem. You can go and do your thing, come back to your house, secure. Very important element. That's why the government here is putting a lot of emphasis on national security. So now, all that is on this side of the budget. Now, how much security do we need as a nation? We do the calculation. The population at large is part of that calculation. The threat from various sources is another element. External or internal is another element. The availability of funding to fund them is another element. But at the end of the day, the government has to decide minimum security of the nation, and it has to fund it. It has to fund it. Now, let me then go to the right side. How do you fund it? You have to find the resources. And there will be minimum resources. Most of it has to come from your own pocket, from your own taxes. We are a developing country, one of the poorest at that, and therefore we normally ask for money, support from outside, from the World Bank, African Development Bank, Islamic Bank, other funds, and other countries that are resource rich. But the rule of thumb is that we should fund our own needs. We have to fund them. What do we fund? First issue, we have to fund the employees of the government. If we don't fund the employees of the government, then there will be nothing. There will be no services provided. And then we have to fund the security. And then we have to fund the development. That's our roads, our education, our universities. We have to fund those. Well, we calculate all that, and let's say it's X million. Then we say how much do we get from internal. We have to strive to get the best out of our pockets. The best out of our pockets. Many, many factors that are involved in this. First, who should pay what is another issue. Those of you who studied or who are studying public finance and taxation, historical theory of taxation, you will see the problems that today developed countries had with who pays taxes. Why do I pay taxes? Everybody argues, why do I pay? Now, suppose if I don't have any kids going to school, why do I have to pay money to build schools? Arguments in the past. I don't have a vehicle, why do I have to pay taxes for roads? I don't use electricity or anything like that, why do I have to pay? All those arguments have developed the theory of taxation. And the government has to decide who should pay. Yeah, but by the way, government is formed to take care of the interests of the public at large. Everybody is under the government, rich and poor. And therefore government will decide who should pay. But there are conditions to who should pay. When that person pays, you, the government individual, have to take responsibility. You yourself too should take responsibility. So there are a number of theories that you have seen. Ability to pay principle is one. I'm sure you have seen it. Ability, anybody who can pay money and who has good income should pay a bit higher. Regardless of that, that's an agreement, public agreement. Now, if I just, before I come to this, if I could just talk about government, what is the basis for government? We decided, public, to have few individuals that will oversee our own common interest. Suppose everybody in the world is gone today and it's us here. It will be scary, isn't it? Because some are very strong, some are not so strong. No laws, no police, nothing. You'll be scared to death. So you will sit down and say, how do we manage our affairs? And we say, few people will be our managers of our affairs, managers of our home here, managers of where we go, managers of how we raise funding, how to get work, and how do we fund them. We look at everybody's purse, ladies, and pockets of the guys, and we chip in, everybody pays something. That's the budget. Everybody puts in something, that's the budget. And the individuals we selected here at the government. And tomorrow, possibly we will be able to change them. But it's not that easy. Once you form them, they select some of you to be the military and the police, and they become very powerful. But the basic initiation of government is to secure our common interest, to keep our own interest. Threats, external problems. So now, ability to pay principle is one. Everybody that can pay anything will be assessed and taxes will be levied accordingly. That's part of the tax that comes in. Benefits received principle is another one. That is, if you are building a school and you have kids, you pay more. Benefits received principle. to the extent that you benefit from this. If you have 2 vehicles, you pay a bit more for roads than others who have no cars, or those who have one. That is called benefit received principle. The other one was ability to pay. The third one is just weighted average, what is called weighted average. So for example, if this is the population, we have calculated the left side of the budget, and it's 1 million, we just say 1 million divided by all these people. Everybody pays equal. But you can see how unfair that is. You know, there are people whose purses are empty, people whose stomachs are empty, people who don't have anything, but it's one of the rules, So if you don't have anything in your pocket, ask others to pay for you. Beg others, or ask others, or, you know, yeah, you have to pay. It's one of the principles. So, I think for us, the average is out, not most of the countries. It is the ability to pay, which is different categories. It's the sales tax, it's whatever you buy, there's one small thing on it. There's the revenue tax, gross tax, sales tax, final profit tax, service tax. You know, if you are registering your car and doing X, Y, and Z, you pay something. So on the left side, you had 1 million. You have to be able to get closer to that 1 million from your internal issues, internal finances. And you see a gap, and then you see what do I do with the gap. Now, most of the developing countries, unfortunately, they can hardly cover the employees, the basic administrative cost of government. That leaves all the development outside. Shaqaalaha, they can barely cover shaqaalaha, let alone anything else. So there is a problem. Now, many other issues that I wanted to mention. Some people are employed rationally. I told you rationality is an element in economics. Rationality. It's reasonableness. It is objective analysis of things. You have to be able to say that is not possible without fearing anybody. It's not possible because, and you have your X, Y, and Z. Why it's not possible? Yeah. And so you have to collect money to be able to cover the cost, but it's impossible. It's always in our countries. It's always impossible. You have to find money from outside. You have to find the money from outside, and it's not easy to get money from outside. The reason that we cannot cover our employees, which is the first obligation of the government, is because we are not rational when we are recruiting staff. Hayga sii jooga halkaa ku hay baa lagu oranaya marta. Hayga sii jooga halkaa ha joogto. Ya, meelahaas una iska joogto. Qof aan shaqaba loo hayn baa lagu oranaya recruit. The way we think is disastrous. Disastrous. Now that's one. The second issue, revenue is the production. Production function is economic thought. Production function, as you very well know. So production and productivity is the function of the skills of the person, and the behavior of the person, and the discipline of the person, and the skills of the person. To what extent that individual is serious? First of all, to what extent that individual is knowledgeable about what he or she is supposed to do. To what extent? Can she do it? Nobody asks those questions. Nobody asks. We all have double masters and 3 masters and all that. But there has to be checks and balances. Can that person do the job? Number one. Number two, if he doesn't do, what does he know what needs to be done? Does she or he know what needs to be done? You come to office and they will tell you there is no chair even. You look for a chair somewhere, and every morning you come here and you don't do anything. So your production is zero, but you still expect to be paid. Payment is always part of what you produce. Always. Yeah. Your payment is part of what you produced. If you don't produce anything, then you are negative effect to the economy. You are negative effect to the economy. And most of our employees, unfortunately and regrettably, is like that. Not only Somaliland, but many, many other developing countries. I have been to many of them, and they are still complaining. Now, the quality of education is another issue. Quality of education is the stimulus of production. Quality of education. If your quality of education is poor, your production is also poor or non-existent. Discipline is another one. Now, let me tell you an example. Somebody working around here, she comes, she doesn't come, no consequences. You agree, wallahi, you agree, I am sure. Whether she comes or he comes to the office, what is the consequences? Nothing. Because he thinks that he or she thinks has the right to be there. Comes or no comes, doesn't matter. But the boss also knows. He can't say anything, because if he says anything, 3 or 4 people with this thing will come tomorrow, and they will create problem for everybody. They will tell you that you are against, you have something against our daughter, or our son, our something. Yeah? If you say, but she is not here, we'll say, it's not your business. This is not your government. It's not your this, it's not your that. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do? That is what you have to think about. We have to think very seriously about the development of our country. Very seriously. We have to give jobs to those who deserve it. Meritorious. Merit. Give people jobs meritoriously, with checks and balances. I can assure you then the economy, production will increase. But what is production? It's not necessarily producing maize and corn and all that. Whatever you do that day, whatever you add it today as additional job is a production. Suppose if you are the secretary, you are all graduates. But if you are secretary, for example, what is your production? To come to the office on time, to register everybody that's coming and see your boss, to do whatever your boss wants you to file and everything, to be able to identify everything that this office is all about, to book the timing, to watch the timing, and to sweat it out, and stay there for 8 hours. If you do that, you have produced. You have produced. And you and your boss will both go home happy that you have done something for your country and for yourself. You earned it. So now, I said this so many times, but let me say it again. Time is #1 item for development. Time, the way you use your time. I was coming here, I was thinking these students are very good, because 4:20 was our time. 4:20, most of the guys are either sleeping, unfortunately, unlike everybody else in the world. 4 o'clock they're sleeping, or they're doing this person called chat, whatever it's called. One of the two. And then they gather at 8, can you imagine? And then they go to some place, tea shops, they talk tea shops with something. And then they will talk half of the night. They come to bed at 11. You can't find them in the morning, they are too tired. They are too tired. So we need to have a whip in our offices, you understand? And the person who doesn't come at 7, he should have consequences. Consequences. Other, you have not been able to work this month, you work 6 hours, and here is your 6 months. If we all agree that, wallahi, you will see this country go up. If we all agree that. But we think public goods are given. We all think the public goods are given. Government is for everybody. It's not like that. Government is what guides national development. Government does not necessarily produce anything. production of goods and services is for the private sector, right? But government facilitates private sector development. Now, I want to that, and we are very poor. I have few questions that first of all, I want to tell you what I think are the pillars of success. Yeah, pillars of success, and I call them the pillars. Yeah. Yes. Pillars of success. Number one is know what your work is. You think it's simple, but it's not easy. The minute, of course, at the end of the day, you will get a job. Know what your job is. Ask your boss to give you the job description, terms of reference. Number two is spend quality time on your job. Not sit on the desk and have your telephone in front of you and gossiping with other people. Spend quality time on your job. These are principles of success. And the principles of success of our people is the success of the nation. Number three, do your job exactly the way it's supposed to be done. You can improve later, identify weaknesses, but do it exactly the way it's done. معناheedu waxa weeye, you have to use the guidelines in the office and the rules and the regulations that govern your job and follow it to the letter. And if everybody does that, you can imagine what can happen. Number four, quality of your product, whatever that is, takes you far. You have to impress your boss and your colleagues. If everybody does that, when you are in the office, they have to say, where is that guy? I want him to do something for me. There are others around. You have to be the person who is called among others to do that extra job that requires you to stay up all night. Be that person. Some people will say, but that's exploitation. It's not. It is not. If you do that, few months down the road, few years down the road, you will be chairing everything yourself. So production is extremely important. Number five, be on time. We said this earlier, be on time. Be on time on meetings, be on time. If your job is start at 7, for heaven's sake, be there 1 minute before 7. It's not a bad thing, it's not an insult, it is good behavior. Please do that, please do that. If everybody comes at 8 and you are at 7, it's not an insult. People, at the end of you will increase your productivity, you will see people demanding, you will see your boss say, she is the one who comes earlier, so let me give her this thing, and I can show. Imagine everybody does that. And those of you who are bosses, call a meeting, when it's at 7, close the door. Slam it, close the door. And carry on your meeting. If it's 2 people, you will see how people behave. They will feel embarrassed. Don't say anything, just close the door, lock it. You continue your work, and then you finish it. Next day, people will change. But of course, if you also penalize them, that also is open for you. But the best weapon for that, close the door. The last person, what time is it? 7 o'clock, close the door. And then you sit down, continue your work. Somebody has to take the minutes, and you circulate the minutes, and that person will feel left behind. The person who didn't come. They will never do it again. Another issue, when you come to a meeting, sit properly and keep quiet. It's a virtue to be quiet. It's a virtue to be quiet. And wait for your time. If you have a question, raise your hand. Ask your question, wait for the answer. If the answer doesn't come, raise it again, very nicely and quietly. Now, our culture is totally contrary to that. We are in a meeting and everybody is talking. What can you do? Everybody is talking. Number two, you finish the meeting, tomorrow there is no trace. No trace. What have we done? Who knows? No minutes, no nothing. And then we talked, and some of us fought, and we left. If you have the opportunity to share it, you have to demand that someone takes the minutes, and you initial the minutes as the boss, and you put it with your nice secretary's office, and it remains there forever. It's a record, right? That's what you need to do. Sorry. I hope I am not talking too much now here. Now, number six, respect the hierarchy. Respect the hierarchy. Inagu, dadka Soomaaliyeed meel kasta waa joogaanay ma kala sarreeyaan. Waa siman yihiin. Waxba kuma socdaan adeer. Waxba kuma waqtigaaga sug adigu. Respect your boss. Don't care about this boss. You have one boss. Respect that boss. Do it exactly what he tells you to do. But of course, if it's according to the law, according to the rules, do exactly. He has to depend on you. He or she. So imagine everybody does that. What you can produce. The man is comfortable or the lady is comfortable. They know and they will like. And if you have the boss, have a cocktail together sometimes. Friday afternoon, for example, you have a tea together, you talk, you talk about different things, you talk about the major issues in your office today, this week. Collegial, be collegial if you are the boss. Then everybody will trust you. Everybody will trust you. Trust, but be firm. The rules are rules. Final issue is if you have to go out from your office during the office hours, do tell your boss that you are going out, or your colleague if your boss is not around. You have to be known as somebody that's responsible. You have to be known as somebody that is responsible. Meetings, I said. Now, number 8. I don't know what it is, but I see number 8 here. Measure your output at the end of every day. What that means is you don't have to measure it in a glass, but you can reflect on it. You can reflect on it. You can reflect on that day and say, what have I done today? And then you have everything in your mind, and you have to leave your office at the end very comfortable with what you did. Very comfortable with what you did. Imagine, your job is very important for the economy. Every job counts. The job is 8 hours. There is a reason why it's 8 hours and not 7 hours, 6 hours, not 10 hours. There is a calculation there, and economists will know that. Part of it is to cover your own living expenditure. Part of it, say 6 hours, 2 hours for you to save, do something. Remaining 2 hours, if there's 2 hours, remaining 2 taxes, money you pay. So when you pay your taxes and you have your health insurance and other things, you should have enough to live. That is the calculation of 8 hours. Do work 8 hours, please, or otherwise you are a burden to the society. And you don't want to be the educated person who is also a burden to the society. Yeah. There's another one here. Be helpful to your colleagues. There are people working with you. They have some challenges, difficulties. Not everybody has the same skills, but help them. Become the person who comes to the help of others, your colleagues. And you should be known as a collegial person. That also helps a lot. I think I am going to conclude by asking some questions. Yeah, I am going to calculate by asking. I'm sorry, this thing is not working today. Yeah. Yes, I want to ask. I leave you with some questions for you to think about. This is our country. We know where we are, and we need to develop. My first question, I have already asked it, the timing issue. Time issue. Why are we not sensitive to time? Is one. Why our electricity rates is the highest in the world? Why? This is what economists ask. Why is the tool of economists to answer questions? Not how many. You know, that is for lower people to know. How many you can count, no problem. But why needs a lot of analysis to answer. Why is our infrastructure the way it is? Why? Now, the example I always take is I live in jeediyay, and it takes me longer to get to hotel near the airport. What is it called? Ambassador. To get to Ambassador than to go to Jubilee. Believe it. It takes me longer to go to the hotel than to go to Jubilee. You test it yourself. From jeediyay, go to the hotel, and you will see. What makes the difference? Infrastructure. Why are we like that? And we have to find answers for them. Okay, why is, please don't mind me, I have to tell you exactly the way it is, right? Why is our corruption index the highest in the world? Why is everybody calling us Somalis are corrupt? Why? We have to answer those questions. I had a lot of problems with those who formulate those myself. I called them and I argued with them. And they have X, Y, and Z things that we do that are not in line with our own rules. 200 countries, and Somalis are the most corrupt in the world. What is that? It's a big insult, isn't it? Wallahi, it's an insult. Can we change that? Can we clean ourselves? Can we have a nice warm bath? Clean ourselves. Yeah. I have attended meetings and meetings in the world when people look at you down, look at you down. Yeah. So that's another question that is for the economists. Why are we categorized as one of the poorest countries in the world? Well, look at it. Why are we like that? We are very rich. We have not enough population, resources, you name it, we have it. One good example is we have a drought. Everywhere we are saying drought. You cannot imagine the water that passes this Hargeysa Malada. One day, the amount of water that passes, and we are all hiding in our huts, or maybe doing this thing, that thing is going to the ocean. What is the rationale for that? What is the rationale for that? Some of our people, the poorest, don't have water, and we don't care. We don't care. It rains and rains and rains and rains, and water goes to the ocean. We don't have the thinking capacity to articulate a rule, a way to pull our money, our water. Yeah. I think that's about it. That's about it. I have many other questions, but that next time when we talk about government, what government is, what governance is, why are we being called corrupt? I will go to the inside on the way that we don't think it's corrupt, but it is otherwise categorized as corrupt. I want to thank you very much. Let's do something. Let's do something. Finally, I don't know how many people are here, but can you imagine all of us here registering our names and making an organization today called Organization Hargeysa 1, University of Hargeysa 1. So every Thursday, everybody gives 2 hours to some job. We all congregate. We have a small government inside us and they will organize us. Every Thursday, 2 hours. I don't know, 100 people here, 200 hours. You know how much we can do with 200 hours? 200 hours, what we can do with all our jeans and whatever, and shovels. We can do a lot, but are we willing to do it? No. Some of us will be going to sleep. Others are going to do this thing. Others are questioning, why am I talking like this? But raqba waa ku rageeda. Raqba waa ku rageeda. Yeah. Let's develop our country together. Thank you very much, and I appreciate. And this is my first lecture. Thank you.
haddii aad akhrido miisaaniyaddeena dawladda waxaa loo qoondeeyey wax soo saarka 2% wax ka yar 1% ayaa loo qoondeeyey wax soo saarka marka aad saa u eegto sidee bay isu qabanaya developmentka aan rajeynayno inaynu gaadhno inagoo miisaaniyaddeena 2% u qoondeynay development.
Professor, su-aasheedu waxay ku saabsan tahay miisaaniyaddeena haddaad eegto qaybta dakhliga iyo kharashka markaad eegto saad dabcan lectureka ku soo jeedisay baahiyo fara badan baan leenahay baahiyaheennana dakhligeenna guduhu inta badan aad uma daboolayo ama uu kooban yahay marka loo eego baahiyaha aynu qabno marka su-aasheedu waxa weeyaan maadaama khibrad fara badan aad u leedahay sida loo helo external donations and grants sidee waddanka loogu heli karaa adduunyada inaynu helno investment ama waxaa la yidhahdaa direct aidka waxa la yidhahdo ama international investment sidaynu usoo jiidan karnaa si dhaqaaleynu u koro aynu sources fara badan iyo capital aynu samayn karno maasanta
karnaa dhaqaalaha adduunyada naga soo galaa su-aasha labaad waxa weeyaan revenue-ga waddanka uu soo xareeyay badankiisa wuxuu ku salaysan yahay tax marka tax-kuna wuxuu saameyn ku leeyahay shacabka iyo ku leeyahay wax laga yaabaa in ay ku adkaato qofkii shacabka ama ganacsadaha ahaa inuu lacag badan oo cashuureed u bixiyo dadkii waaweynaa tijaartaana lacag yar laga qaado qaabka loo soo ururinayo markaad eegto revenue-ga ama cashuurta dhaqaale badan baa la geliyaa in si fiican ay lacagtu soo ururto laakiin markay baxayso si yar fudud baa loo saaraa nidaamyo kala duwan oo lagu musuqmaasuqa lagu saaraa marka taana maxaa laga hortagi karaa labada su'aalood baan hayo assalaamu calaykum
waa wasaaradaysan tahay sanad walbana wasaarad walba waxay isku daydaa inay lacag kordhiso haddaad eegto miisaaniyadda waxaad arkaysaa tusaale kale laydhka wasaarad walba inay kharash badan oo laydh ay leedahay marka haddii wasaarad walba ama hay'ad walba eegto kharashkaas xalga $1 milyan bay gaaraysaa ma dhici kartaa tusaale kale in headiskaas ama wasaaradda ama electricity haato ama internet haato ama kulam haato in laga dhigi karo hab guud oo dawladdu la macaamili karto shirkadaha laydhka la macaamili karto kuwa internetka kharashka loo yeelan lahaa talabaad maadaama wasaaraduhu ujeedada ugu weyn ay leeyihiin ay tahay inay kharashka kordhiyaan meesha waxaa ka dhabaxaya horumarintii marka ma soo jeedin kar lahayd in restructuring lagu sameeyo qaabka miisaaniyadda loo diyaariyo hadday haa tahay maxaad soo jeedin lahayd tusaale ahaan maxaad sawir yar naga tagi kartaa
waxaan rajeynaya inaad maqlaysaan magacayga waxaa la yiraahdaa Bilan Ciise waxaan ku takhasusay dowladnimada governance and public policy marka horta Dr. Bayle waan salaamayaa waxaan rabay hal su'aal inaan weydiiyo su'aashaasi wax weyn maaha horta waxaad tiri government facilitates productivity and government waxay facilitates productivity battery and the most of the development wuxuu ka imaadaa qaybta private sector ka marka madama tahay economic advisor to the president waxaan ku weydiin lahaa madaxweynaha Somaliland oo kale for example ma kala talisay tax rate ka ama salaac shuuray qaybta private sector ka because hadda dad u fiirsato wadamada yaryar ama developing countries ka dad u tagtid oo kale waxaad dareemaysaa in maadaratay private sectors ku ay infrastructure qayb badan ka dhiseen oo laamiyadii kale ay dhigteen tolls oo kale cashuuraan ay cashuurtooda halka public kala soo baxaan iyagoo tolls yar ay dadkii bixinayaan shacabkiisa toosa marka inkoo kale private sector-kii shirkadeenan waaweyn oo kale dahabshiil ama somcable whatever madaxweynaha muxaadaradani in la cashuuro tax badan laga qaado si infrastructure loogu dhiso oo dawladda hoose kale loo geeyo lacagtii amaba in bankiska kale loans laga qaato oo hadhow looba celiyo taas way su'aashii aad baad maasantiin dhameantii
marka sidee inuu production inuu kordho u filayna haddii aanay lacagta loo allocate yar tahay hadaan fahmay correctly sidii aan hore idinku sheegay lacagta la soo ururiyo cashuuraha la soo ururiyo marka u horeeya waa inay security-geena mushaarka la siiyaa hataa mushaarkii baan laga yaabaa inaan dhammaan la wada bixin karin lianna dakhligiina soo gelayaba aan badnayn inagu filayn marka haddii 2% production loo allocate gareeyey oo la helo haddana intentionku waxa weeyaan next year in kasii korodho ayaa laga yaabaa marka intii soo hadhaba production marka dadka shaqaalaha lacagtooda la siiyo security lacagtooda la siiyo wixii kale ee loo baahan yahay la siiyo ayaa dabeetana muxuu arrimaha kale ee horumarka ayaa la siiyaa now horumarka su'aashaas waxay ku xidhantahay su'aasha kale sidaynu u kabaynaa dhaqaalaha sidee loo kabaa ayay iyana ku xidhan tahay dhaqaala kabku dee institutions baa jira adduunyadu ama wax ka amaahato ama deeqba ka qaadato deeq inaad ka qaadato waddan institutionska baananka iyo inaad deyn ka qaadatana waxay ku xidhan tahay halka dhaqaalahaagu taagan yahay dhaqaalahaaga hadduu hooseeyo waa lagaa daynaya deynta leanna hadhow baanad iska bixin karayn baa laleeyahay waxaa lagu siinaa deeqa laakiin deeqda in deeq lagu siiyo iyana waxyaalo kaloo fara badan bay ku xidhan tahay oo dee waad ogtaa dad intaasoo milyan ku siinaya waxyaalo badan bay kaa filayaan waxyaalaha siyaasad ahaana halkan baa iska dhig waxaa lagaa doonaya lacagtaa inaad u isticmaasho sidii loogu talagalay haddaad u isticmaali weydo tu dambana lagu siin maayo ta socotona waa lagaa joojinaya waxaa lagaaga baahan yahay lacagtaa lagu siiyey oo caadatan let's say $10 million baa lagu siin karaa jidkaa ku dhis baa lagu odhanaya haddaad jidkii dhisi weydo jidkuna tallaabooyin buu leeyahay lacagtaasi marka hore in yar baa lagu soo dayn si aad u qorto dadkii ka shaqayn lahaa dadka ka shaqayn lahaa sida loo qoray hadday saluugaan way kaa joojinayaan lacagta mayna dadka la qoray hadday wax badan qaban waayaan oo intaasuu ku daayaan oo dabeetna wuxuudu noqoto inay iyagu salary ka qaataan lacagtii wala joojinaya maaha iyagoo isku dayeen in mashruuciintiisi kale la qabto haddii mashruucii dhaqaaqi waayo lacagta way kaa joojinayaan on the other side haddii dad wanaagsan la qorto dadkii mashruucii dhaqaajiyaan 50% markaad isticmaasho haddana intaa lagu soo lacag kale lagu siinaya marka runtii lacagaha adduunka laga helaa waxay ku xidhan tahay sida adigu aad istiraahdo how serious you are mashaariicda saad wado ayay ku xidhan tahay now baananka wax laga qaataa inagu waxaan ku jirnaa wadannada aan loo ogolayn in amahdaan wax leanna waxay leeyihin hadhoweyda ku adkaanaysaa saad kaga bixinaysaa dhaqaalaheenni baan adkayn laakiin waxaa la siin karaa grant imkadana waa lana siiyaa laakiin waxaanu weli la tacaalaynaa sidii kuwii ina siiyey ama biyaha aadaan ama jidadaha aadaan ama leyrkan ba aadaani isticmaalkoodiiba ayaa weli dambeeya marka haddaynu taa horoo marino lacagta markaa waynu helaynaa marka grantska iyo ruleskoodu waa sidaas saa uga socda nasiib daro ma yihiin dowladda ictiraafsan yahay weli marka weli waxaanu ku xidhannahay soomaaliya marka soomaaliya mashruuc loo samaynayo ayaa inaguna bar ku darsana wadahadaladooduna way socdaan runtii ilaa anagu different baan nahay waan ka duwannahay nabadda iyadu way fiican tahay mashaariicda iyadu waxay ka hirgelayaan meelo aad iyo aad u amniya baahiyaha iyagu way ka duwanyihin baahiyaha kale marka baanka waa madaxweynuhu kala hadlay baanka wuu kala hadlay wadannada baan kalena baanka African Development Bank iyo World Bank wuu kala hadlay arrinta kale meesha ku jirta waxa weeye dee wax badan oo investment lagu samayn karo waynu inagu leenahay waad aragtay markii madaxweynuhu tegey wadannada carabta waxna siiya ma odhan wuxuu yidhi waxaan haynaa beero dhul wanaagsan oo beero laga beeri karo biyihii baan haynaa waxaan haynaa muxuu ahaa fisheries ayaan haynaa kalluunkii oo ciiddaa ka badan wax aan wada shaqaysanno aad bay way ku buuxeen aan wada shaqaysanno xoolihii baa iyaguna jira dee waxaa cid isla heshay ma jirtee waxaa lagu tali jiraa madaxweynuhu ku tali jiraa intaa dib loo habeeyo oo dabeetana iyaguna lacagtii ay hayaan inaguna waxaan haynaa resourceski labadoo la isku daray ayaa labadu wax u taraya ya mineralskii baan haynaa ya muxuu macdantii baan haynaa gaas iyo oil baa waddanka ku jira waxaasoo dhan imika fikradda cusub ee madaxweynuhu la yimid waxa weeyaan inaan wadannada u tagno oo dhinaan wax wada qabsano ya marka taasina iyaduna sidaas ayay u socotaa now expenseska ha la yareeyo baa la yidhi expenseska ha la yareeyo waa dee arrin cid waliba u dhegtaagi karta weyn expenseska ha la yareeyo laakiin expensesku intaad quwadda saari lahayd expenseska in la yareeyo quwadda waa in la saara cidda expenses ku baxayaan productivityadooda inay kordho ya ilaa expensekeena imika waa salaries wey marka qofka salarykii hadduu productionkiisa sare u kordhiyo dhaqaale u koraya markaa dhaqaale kobaca ayaa dabeeta keenaya production inuu kaco now production kicidiisa private sectorka ku shaqale waxaa iminkaan ka hadlaynay oo dhan ama xoola ha noqoto ama mineralska ha noqoto macdanta ama ha noqoto kalluunka waxaasoo dhan waxaa la doonayaa private sector dal kale iyo private sector keenu inay wada galaan dowladduna ay qodxaha ka gurto hagaajiso u habayso qaanuunkii lagu wadi lahaana keento sharcigii labada u dhexayn lahaana ay keento marka taas haddaynu samayn karno adduunyadana saas way samaysaa hore u martay oo ay galfku ka mid yihiin now arrinta inantay weydiisay waa runteedu weeye private sectorku qayb weyn buu ka qaataa xataa waxyaalaha la wada leeyahay waddooyin ka mid yihiin oo toll free waata sheegtay toll free waxa weeye waddo weyn oo aad u ballaaran tan Hargeysa kusoo wareegtoo kale is a good example taasaa la dhisayaa waxaa laga dhigayaa highway meesha gaadhiga aad ka soo gelayso ayaad lacag ku ridaysaa private sectorkaas kale lacagtaas iga ururaysaa 5 sano horeba lacagta way ka baxaysaa dabeetana 5 kale la siinaya ay private ku sameeyaan inta dambana dowladda u hadhaysa ya marka haddii security-geedu sidan sii ahaado haddii aaminka laynagu qabaa sidan sii ahaado waxaan filaynaa inay taas suuragal tahay meelaha waaweyn gaar ahaan magaalada soo wareegeeda iyo waddooyinka qaarkood magaalada agagaarkeeda ya ama jidadka waaweyn ee u dhaxayn kara laba magaalo in toll free laga dhigi karo kuwa xeebta laga dhigi karo ayaa suuragala marka intaasaan u malaynaya inaan kusoo su-aalihii haddaanan qaar iloobin aad baad umahadsantihin
waxaan aad runtii halkan inagula wadaagay aqoontiisa khibradiisa iyo xaqiiqatan wax badan oo runtii naga qarsoonaa aad baan mar labaad iyo mar saddexaad ka jaamacad ahaan doctorka u soo dhaweynaynaa waxaan uga mahadnaqaynaa waqtigiisa qiimaha badan waxaan jaamacadda Hargeysa ballan qaadaynaa kulan kale sida uu sheegay kulan kale oo ku saabsanaan doona good governance leadership kulankan runtii sida uu doctorku soo jeediyey waan aqbalaynaa waxaan ka dhigi doonaa insha Allah waqti aan fogeyn isagaan waqtiga kala tashan doonaa insha Allah xilliga ugu habboon marka kaana waad ku talageli doontaan waxaan soo dhaweynayaa runtii ardayda jaamacadda Hargeysa ee ka soo qayb galay maanta kulankan waxaa kaloo soo dhaweynayaa bulshada kale ee qiimaha badan leh ee maanta inala joogta iyaguna runtii ka soo qayb galay kulankan qaybaha kala duwan ee bulshada runtii danaynaya runtii aad baan u soo dhaweynaynaa waxaan tilmaamayaa in qodobada uu sheegay ama su'aalaha uu doctorku sheegay waa su'aalo taagan waqtiga maxaynu ilaalin weynay maxaynu isku ixtiraami weynay maxaynu ethics-ka ama shaqada maxaynu ugu wanaagsanaan weynay akhlaaqiyaadka bulsho ahaan maxaynu isku tixgelin weynay iminka waad arkayseen oo doctorku halkan jooga baa laga yaabaa dadka qaarkood inay baxayaan wax laga yaabaa inaanay meel fog joogin inay albaabka dibadda aynu kula kulanna baa laga yaabaa qofkii baxayay yani culture-keena waxaad moodaa waxyaabo badan oo runtii horumarin inaynu ka samayno u baahan baa yaala saa doctorku sheegayay wuxuun baan kusoo gabagabeynaynaa doctorka kulanka labaad ee good governance-ka uu ka hadli doono insha Allah waan diyaarin doonaa kulan labaad baa jiri doona oo doctor kale oo professor Soomaaliya oo Mareykan dibadda deganaa oo runtii doctorka iskaranayaan isagu uu ka jeedin doono halkan muddooyinka soo socda kaasina wuxuu ku saabsan doonaa Somaliland sidee baynu mineralska iyo macdanta iyo waxyaabaha la midka ah sidee bay Somaliland uga faa'iideysan kartaa iyo dhaqaalaha halkaa ku jira nooc uu yahay runtii professor kale isaguna bixin doona lecture-ka marka lecture-ada noocan waa sii wadi doonaa runtii waxaan dareemaynaa jaamacadaha dadka idinkoo kale ah bulshada kala duwan ee aqoonta leh inay noqdaan madalo lagu doodo isla markaana la isku weydiiyo su'aalo masiiriya oo noocan oo kale aad iyo aad baad mahadsantihiin